I always knew I wanted to be in healthcare, and I started being in the healthcare field like very young. I started with Operation Smile, and I loved that transformation that I would see of like having patient come in with a cleft palate and leaving without. And I thought that was really what medicine was about, is changing life for the better. So they come in a bad shape. And then I worked in, so I went to medical school, pre-med, started doing shadowing, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that experience of being, that's what not what the ER was about. So when I worked in the ER, that's not what I saw. I was a lot about pills and a lot about keeping people alive rather than improving the quality of life and getting their health back. So while I was doing my rotation, I actually worked in a third world country. I was in Morocco, and I worked in the public hospital of Casablanca. And I worked with type 1 diabetes kids, and I was working with their parents. So basically, these are families in remote areas of Morocco that don't have the resources to even have insulin all the time. So the doctors there are kind of obliged to help them with nutrition because that would keep their kids alive. And that was one of those moments of thinking, oh, I could actually help people without pills and without worrying about the side effects and without piling on pills and pills and pills. So that actually made me think about nutrition. I just wasn't such in the allopathic conventional medicine. I did not know that you could help people with nutrition outside of gaining weight, losing weight. And so I started looking into that. It was the summer of 2013. I went back to the US the year after that, and I started looking for public health, master in nutrition or epidemiology, because I thought that was it. That's how you help people with nutrition and public health. And I was in Michigan, so I started looking for places that I could either shadow or learn from. And that's how I found the Nutritional Healing Center. And that really opened my eyes to the whole natural health, holistic health, and nutrition for health, rather than just nutrition for, hey, here's a diet, like really for lifestyle changes. So that was those families that I was able to help in such a short term, and mainly just being able to see that there was a transformation, that's the only thing that they could do, and there was the best thing that they could do for their families, because there's no way you can force a mom to walk 200 kilometers, which is more than 100 miles, to get insulin, especially if she doesn't have the resources. But she can keep her child alive with making sure that they don't eat carbs and they eat meat and dairy, which is usually they live in farms. So 2006, yeah, I must have been like 17, 18. I was in freshman in undergrad, and I had my first super lower abdomen pain. And I went to the ER, and they said it was a cyst that burst. So I was like, what does that even mean? They're like, yeah, we found a cyst, and it was a pretty big one, and it's just, it seems like you have PCOS. They did a CAT scan, they saw like microcystic ovaries, that's even how they called it. And I was like, okay, well now what? And they go, well now nothing. It's very common. Everyone has it in those days. All the teenage girls we see have it, so just go your merry way. So I went my merry way. And but then it happened the month after, and it just literally became part of my life. It was just like, okay, my period may come, may not come. If you don't come, it's going to be a cyst, and I'm just going to take a leave every 2 hours until I feel better, or I don't, or I end up in the ER. And one of the summers, I was actually traveling overseas, and I was in a plane that had to land. I was in so much pain that an MD on board was like, we have to land. So the whole plane landed in Milan, in Italy, so I can go to the ER. And the doctor said, well, you should be on some type of medicine because this is happening too often, these are too big. And so I was like, okay, I came back to the US, and same thing. They're like, you know what, we kind of tried everything with birth control. Your next step would be to take metformin or to have surgery. And I just didn't think that at 20 years old I should be having any type of like surgery, especially if it involved one of my ovaries, but that's pretty much was the solution for it. And I kind of really did. Like now looking back, I kind of accepted it. That's just how it is. That's going to be my cycle every month. I may or may not have it. And even when I didn't have it, I was just in so much pain. I had like a whole day that I cannot get out of bed as I'm in horrible pain. It was just known at my school, it was known at my work. It was just, but it really did think it was just being a female in 20 something. And so that pretty much was it until 2014. And they told me that I may not be able to get pregnant unless I do IVF. So this like just because of the way you have it and your health, the only way you may be able to get pregnant is with IVF, and that was one of the reasons that I said even if they remove one of the ovaries, it would not change anything to my fertility because my chance of getting pregnant are really already very low. So when I actually got pregnant by surprise, not without having any kind of treatment or anything like that, I went to the doctor and they said, well, I think actually I was 7 months pregnant. And the technician, I was at U of M, the technician that was trying, she was learning, and she was trying to measure the baby, and the technician who is her senior actually removed her hand and said, you're measuring the fibroid. You're not measuring the baby. So actually the fibroid when I was 7 months pregnant was bigger than my baby. And that was like, that's literally how I went through my whole pregnancy. And no one but an I, like it literally no one said anything about it. It's just how it was. Right after I had the baby, maybe a month, 6 weeks after, I started working at a nutritional healing center, and I started having female support with supplements. So I was actually being supported nutritionally. It did help a lot with my cycle, but I was still getting the cysts. And I think the main reason was also because I was following directions, I got IUD, copper IUD. So it was still what I call, like, I still had a toxic uterus. It was not, I was getting supported with the supplements, but I was not like completely healthy. When we decided with one of the practitioners here that I want to just give it my best chance, I removed the copper IUD, and I think, really just getting frustrated. At this point, it was 2016, it's been 10 years that I've had those cysts, and I was getting angry and pissed. And so Dr. Schmidt, at that time, I was his assistant, and we were using ketosis for any kind of what we call metabolic disease, so any kind of abnormal growth of tissue. And I wanted to give it a try. I was like, okay, now I'm gonna give it my all. And I really did do it pretty strictly. I went 3 months with intermittent fasting and ketosis, and the next time I went to get checked, it was after my follow-up after I removed the IUD. There was no fibroids, no cysts, even the microcystic ovaries, that little tiny little cysts that usually around the ovary, they're always there, just of the last 10 years, just being part of my anatomy, I guess, were just completely gone. I was able to get pregnant right away with my second baby. There was no fibroids. It's been now 4 years. I haven't had any of the hormonal or female issues or anything like that. So I think the biggest thing in my experience, my personal experience, that made me change the way I think from the conventional medicine to the holistic, or what we do here, is when I really did understand that symptoms are a body feedback. The body is telling you something. So those cysts, those missed period, those painful period, all of those are giving me a feedback. So I could have taken the birth control. I could have taken the medicine. I could have went and removed that ovary. It will not have actually addressed the cause. So I always say, like, symptoms are body feedback. Don't muffle it. Don't try to silence your body. You have to listen. And the other thing that I've learned is even that I'm not made in IKEA. I'm a human being. I don't have any spare body parts. I cannot just remove my gallbladder because it's not functioning, or remove my ovary because it's not doing something. I do need all of my organs, And if they're not doing something properly, I want to go look for that cause. So whatever is causing your gallbladder not to function, removing it is not going to solve it. So it's changing that diet that's making the gallbladder being sluggish. Removing the copper iodine, in my case, that was making me toxic, or removing the diet that I was eating, or whatever that was causing my hormones to go haywire, rather than just be like, oh, there is an extra ovary, let's just remove it. She has another one. So I want to talk to patients who really do think that they do know that there is something more than just that pill. There is something more than the headache is not just a headache, that they feel in their core that it's something else is going on and they are getting the same answer over and over and over. It's either it's in your head, or we don't know why, or it's genetic, or everyone who is actually frustrated with that sense of doom, or that sense of it is what it is, and we're just going to give you that crutch for the rest of your life. And I don't even call it a crutch. I think it's something that's making you weaker, and it's giving more side effects, and we have to give you more other crutch to help with the side effects. And yes, functioning at 20% is better than being dead, but I think that going back to 100 is really what we thrive to do here.